Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. And we are so pleased to be joined now by Gerry Glasco, the softball coach for Texas Tech. Last year, year one for Gerry, and Texas Tech made it all the way to Game 3 of the National Championship Series, falling to Texas in what was an epic series with an epic player and performer in Nyjah Kennedy. Well, Nyjah's back with a loaded roster and loaded team this year, gearing up for regionals. Gerry joining us right here on Big 12 Radio. All right, so how do you repeat? How do you get back to that Women's College World Series and back to the national championship?
You've got to perform really well in the postseason. You know, we have to play our best softball of the year, and hopefully, you can get into this regional. You get a 4 seed right off the bat, and what you'd like to do is get your hitters going, get your players all playing at a high level, and then take that momentum into the next game, and then each game you can win. As you win each game, you gain momentum and you gain confidence and you gain that sense of belonging. And that's the unique thing about the tournament. Sometimes that flows and flows really well, and you get better and better throughout the postseason. And if it doesn't happen and you have one bad day, then it's a different story, right? That's what makes the tournament so exciting.
Yeah. I think the world was shocked that Texas Tech fell in the Big 12 championship to Arizona State, not just because it was the 6 seed beating the 1, 2, and 3 seed, but I mean Texas Tech had not been touched in 2 years of the Big 12 tournament. I mean 0 runs given up, just a remarkable run. What did Arizona State do? I guess let's start to beat your pitching.
Yeah, they probably a coaching mistake on my part. I think started it. I took Nyjah after a home run, and I read on the message board knee-jerk reaction. It wasn't knee-jerk reaction. We went to Arizona State. Caitlin Terry was tremendous against Arizona State and had thrown a shutout. And we knew that their lefties, they don't hit left-hand pitchers as good as they hit right-hand pitchers. But when you go in the championship, you have to start Nyjah. And we just made up our mind as a coaching staff the night before, like, hey, let's don't put all the pressure on Nyjah. Let's go 1 run. Let's let her get the start. But the minute they start to threaten, let's bring Caitlin Terry in. And we had KT warm in the bullpen before the game, and with the word instruction, like it's going to be the world's shortest hook. Like we're going to have a really quick hook today, and we're going to put you in the game. And in fairness to KT, like we haven't done that a lot. Like that's something we haven't done, but we wanted to see how it would work. And so we put her in, and then we had double home run, I believe, or single home run. Next thing you know, it's 4-0. And then we get Nyjah back in, and she holds them the rest of the game. And I think it probably was a huge momentum change, obviously, when we made that move and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. Now, the good part is we found out before postseason that's not something we want to do. KT's been brilliant, like absolutely brilliant as a starter, and that one day it didn't work for whatever reason. Probably wasn't, probably just doesn't feel comfortable coming from right field to the pitching circle. But I blame myself on that. That was me as a coach and a coaching move I made and got us down 4-0. And then we went into a shell. Our hitters got on their heels, and it just turned into an ugly game. But give Arizona State credit. They were playing really good. They did exactly what we just talked about. They gained momentum game 1 beating Arizona. When Arizona State beats Arizona, that's a good thing, and they got cocky. And then they beat Oklahoma State to get to the finals. Oklahoma State's been red hot and been a really good team this last month and a half of the season. So they're coming off 2 huge wins, and now they've got us, and they get momentum. And when they got momentum, they were on it. And Mackenzie Brown, in my opinion, is as good a pitcher as we faced the last 2 years. I think the game she pitched in the Big 12 championship was the best game any pitcher has thrown in over 110 games against Texas Tech in the 2 years I've been here.
Wow.
So give Mackenzie Brown credit, give Arizona State credit, give the Big 12 Conference credit. They beat 3 great teams with Arizona, Oklahoma State, and us.
Yeah, that was no fluke.
Yeah, and it happens when you play good competition. You're baseball and softball is not a game you're meant to win every game, and that's what in Major League Baseball you win a third, you lose a third, no matter what you do. and then the other 62 games, the great teams will win the majority, and they'll lose. Bad teams will lose the majority, and softball is very similar to that. It's I think it's more like you win 35% and and you for 40% maybe, and then you win 40%. But it makes a difference, and there's a certain number of games, 20% of the games at a minimum, that can go either way.
Mm. What did Brown do against you guys that put together, as you said, the most impressive pitching performance?
She has great velocity. She's throwing the ball in there at 70, 71 miles an hour, 72 sometimes, I think. And then her ability to change speeds is as good as anyone in the country. A tremendous changeup. And then she can go rise ball up or drop ball down. She got a good curveball. So she's got the whole assortment of pitches. And then here's the other thing. Give John Barfield, he is a tremendous pitching coach. He's a tremendous pitch caller. And he was in her back pocket guiding her through that game, brilliantly. With each pitch he called, he was making, and she trusted him. And I think that's the story over there is you got a great pitcher, and then you get that great pitch caller and great pitching coach behind her, working with her, and all of a sudden you get this brilliant performance. And I'm anxious to see if they put that together in the regional, that's a team that could be looked over.
Wow. It also feels like the conference as a whole was better this year than last year. Do you get that sense too?
Yes, absolutely. No doubt about it. The conference has improved. It's much better from top to bottom. And I think we have the fact we got 7 teams in the NCAA tournament step in the right direction. And I think we need to just keep continuing to grow as a conference, creating as tough a schedules as we can. And then when we get to conference, keeping each other, pushing each other as hard as we can.
Were you surprised that of where you ended up from a seating perspective?
I thought that we could be seated as high as 3 or 4 because I really think we're probably one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country. I think we're one of the teams that can win the NCAA. To win the NCAA, you have to have pitching and hitting, and you have to have a good defense. You can't have one aspect of the game. You need to be a well-rounded team, and I think we're one of the 3 or 4 most well-rounded teams in the country. The fact that the coaches polls and the 2 polls this week, we come out, we're 4 and 6, and then you get 11 seed by the committee. That's shocking in itself to a lot of people. On the other hand, you have to realize the committee's trying to seed something for 64 people. It's not softball people. It's not softball coaches. It's not people like the NFCA coaches poll. That's 25 coaches voting, and I think we're voted 4th. The committee is made up of administrators and people that follow softball but don't know softball like softball coaches, in my opinion. And they go more by a formula, and they go more by a system that's been in place for several years. And among key factors in that system is RPI and top 10 wins. But if you don't play top 10 teams, and we couldn't get top 10 teams on our schedule. We had Florida State and the airlines canceled, and we couldn't get there. We knew at the time that was we tried to charter, we couldn't even get a charter plane to take us. We knew that. I was devastated because I knew it was going to kill us at the end. So even 2 months before, I said, if we don't go to Florida State, we have to get a charter. If we don't get to Florida State, we won't have that second top 10 win, and very likely won't get that top 8 seed if the committee goes by what they've done through history. So I knew 2 months ahead that was a possibility if they stuck to the system that had been in place for years. And that's what they did, I believe. I think they kind of stuck to the same guidelines, and it was by those guidelines, it's impossible for them to seed us in the top 8, in my outside opinion. Just trying to be fair to all parties.
So why couldn't you schedule, more RPI heavy games in the non-conference?
I've heard different things. Nobody's called me and told me exactly, but I think it's pretty evident. Like the SEC didn't want to play the Texas Tech team this year. We went to Mary Nutter. We didn't get games there. They give you a list. Who do you want to play? the teams that I wanted to play had put in a request they didn't want to play us. So that's a it's a long story, but anyway, it it hurt our schedule and it hurt our ability to schedule the teams we needed to play. And traditionally, at Louisiana, I played a really tough schedule every year. In my last year, I think we had the fourth hardest schedule in the entire country, playing from a mid-major, and we still had the fourth highest schedule, even with our conference schedule overall. So traditionally, I'd always been able to schedule really well. But as we build this program here, it's getting a little trickier. So we'll figure that out. That's our challenge for next year is to try to come up with at least a more formidable non-conference schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that maybe Texas Tech was shut out because of Texas Tech's activity in the transfer portal, which is sort of funny coming from the SEC. Right?
Yeah, well,
really? SEC? Like, come on. You invented this. What are you talking about?
yeah, yeah. We're here to build a great program. We're not going anywhere. We're going to build a great program. We're gonna try to go after the top athletes in the country. We in 5 years from now, our goal is to be like the program that people look at, just like they look at Oklahoma. We want to be that type of program. That's our goal, and we're not going to back down. We're not going to back away. We're going to be right here. And if we have to do it from 11 seed, that's really not a big deal. If we are as good as we think we are, as good as we hope we are, that doesn't matter where they seed us. It doesn't affect you. It affects the people you play, but it doesn't affect you. And that's the attitude that we'll go into the NCAA tournament with.
Last thing, Coach, we very much appreciate your time and how candid you are. It's really fun to visit with you, and it's really fun to watch your team. And it's great to have you in the Big 12 because, like you said, you're building something special, and you can see it already in not even 2 full seasons. How, for you, how is the postseason different than the regular season? And you mentioned, the dynamic of Nyjah and Caitlin Terry. Like, how do you balance that dynamic in the postseason?
Yeah, the postseason is special because it's do or die. Like it's not something you can pace yourself. It's not something you can say, well, it didn't matter this weekend. When
Right.
it matters. Everything matters, and it's day by day and game by game, and then break it down to inning by inning and pitch by pitch, and that's what makes the postseason so special. And I think this team is built for the postseason, and I hope we play our best ball. If we play our best ball, we'll end up in Oklahoma City, and if we do anything short of that, it's a massive disappointment, and will be, it'll be a long, hard, miserable summer for me if we fall short of Oklahoma City, because that's our full intent is to go to Oklahoma City.
Love it. The Texas Tech Red Raider softball team starts their regional in the Lubbock Regional tomorrow at 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern Time, and then they would take on the winner if Texas Tech wins on Saturday at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern between Boston University and Ole Miss. Coach, good luck in regionals. Good luck moving forward. Appreciate your time. Be well.
Thank you. Wreck 'em.
There's Gerry Glasco, the Texas Tech Red Raider softball coach, joining us here to talk through the Lubbock Regional, which starts tomorrow in Lubbock. And, yeah, I mean, he said it there, right? Like, he didn't want to call out any coaches for not scheduling them, but I think it's pretty obvious that there's a level of disdain in the softball world for what Gerry and Texas Tech are doing. It's crazy to me to think that, like, in sports, it's about acquiring and accumulating the most talent you could possibly have, and all sports are like that, but for some reason people are dismissive of Texas Tech when they do it. Texas does it, or Oklahoma does it, it's fine. Texas Tech does it, it's not fine, and it should be called out in that situation. So basically their schedule was not good enough to merit being a top 8 seed, which would mean hosting both a regional and a super regional. So if Texas Tech, the reality here is if Texas Tech wins, they're going to have to go on the road for a super regional. Just might be one of the best teams in softball. It's Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios.